In the previous class, we had begun with the preemptive task scheduling techniques. So in the previous class, we had an scheduling technique that is called as shortest job first or shortest remaining time, SRT or SJF preemptive task scheduling. So there, what was the scheduling technique? So the number of processes which are going to be executed, all processes are going to be kept in a queue. And what system is going to perform? So whenever it is executing, whenever it is going to start executing, so it is going to sort all queue contents based on the sorted time. So the shortest time execution time process is going to execute it first, later the longest execution time processor. So the next concept is, and we have went through an example, and we have calculated what is the average waiting time and average turnaround time. Let us go for next scheduling technique. Because compared to previous scheduling technique, what was the drawback? The drawback is what? The process has to wait. Okay, the longest execution time process has to wait. Okay, and in between, while executing processes, in between any process, a new process arrives with the shortest execution time, then processor once again concentrate on the shortest execution time process. It is going to first try to complete that minimum time consuming process. After that, it is going to touch the longest time consuming processor. Now, what about here in the round robin scheduling? So in this round robin scheduling, as the name indicates, there is a loop for all the processes unless the completion of all processes in the queue is going to be end. Now we look at this scheduling. So the round robin brings the same message. It is equal chance to all. Means whatever suppose the n number of processes are there in the queue and all are going to be executed by the processor, then how the time allocation is going to happen with respect to each and individual process. It may be the execution time may vary for each process. So here equal time slot is allocated for all the processes. Okay, how it is? So each process in the ready queue is executed for a predefined time slot. Predefined time slot. Say it is n number of processes are there, and each process has allocated with a time slot of some milliseconds. And this allocated predefined time slot, it is equal for each and individual process in the okay. So once the process one is over for the predefined time slot, once again it is kept at the end of the queue. Once again it is kept at the end of the queue. Next, second process is going to start executed for a given time period. Then after completion of that one, once again, if still process is not completed, once again it is kept at the top of the stack, or top of the queue. Okay, that is the process what we are going to observe in the round robin. Means the loop will be there until unless completion of all process executions. Look at this diagram. So here you are going to observe. Suppose there are 4 processes are there in the ready queue. So process 1, it is allotted with a predefined time slot. So once the process for that time slot is over, it is switched to next process. And this process 2 also has same time slot. Process 1 completes its time slot, then it is switched to process 2. After completion of that specified time period, once again the process 2 is going to shift it to the execution. It is going to switch from process 2 to process 3. After process 3, process 4. Once again after process 4, if still process 1 has to be executed, once again it is switched to process 1. Until unless completion of all processes, this loop will be there. This loop will be there. Okay. So this is the fashion of round robin scheduling. The execution starts with picking up the first process in the queue. It is executed for a predefined time, and when the predefined time elapses or the process completes, the next process in the ready queue is going to be selected for execution. So this is repeated for all the processes in the queue, and this sequence is repeated till completion of all processes in the. This is the technique used in round robin scheduling. So if we go for one of the example, instead of going for general statement, process 1, process 2, okay, general we have discussed, predefined time slot. So now let us have an example by allocating the execution time as well as predefined time slot. So one of the example, if we look at, it is 3 processes with the process IDs P1, P2, P3 with estimated completion time for each process. So process 1 requires to complete its process, it is 6 milliseconds. P2 needs to be executed within 4 milliseconds. It needs, that process needs that much time, CPU time. Then what about P3? It needs 2 milliseconds. Okay. Then these 3 processes are going to queue for execution. Okay. So enters the ready queue together in the order P1, P2, and P3. So they are going to be kept in order. Okay. It is not like that it is sorted based on some parameter. No, all are kept in a particular order. So here in this example, the order of the queue or allocation in the ready queue, it is P1 first, then P2, then P3 with time slice. You can observe here predefined time slice, time slot or time slice of 2 milliseconds. So here don't get confused. So the whatever the P1 it is 6 milliseconds, P2 is 4 milliseconds, and P3 is 2 milliseconds. These are completion time of that process. Each process needs that much time to complete. Okay. Later, how the scheduling is going to happen? How much time is allocated for P1, P2, and P3? Okay. So if we go for previous concept, in the previous concept it is what? Shortest time process. There the order will be what? It is different. But here they are kept in a particular order. That is as an example, it is P1, P2, and P3 are kept in the queue, and each process is given a time slice of. So each process is going to run 2 milliseconds. Okay. Still, if it needs to be executed, then what it is going to do? What is going to happen? It is going to be kept in the end of ready queue. Okay, end of the queue. Once again, means all are there in the loop itself until unless completion of execution time. Now look at this method. So in this one, the 3 processes with the process IDs P1 6 milliseconds, P2 4 milliseconds, P3 2 milliseconds. The scheduler sorts the ready queue based on the first come, first serve policy. First come, first serve policy, the ready queue is going to adopt. Means the order of all these processes what? P1 first, P2 next, P3 later. Okay. So the first one arrived in the queue, it is P1. After that P1, P2, P2 after it, P3. This is the order. Now, scheduler picks up the first P1 from the queue and executes it for the time slot of 2 milliseconds. So each process is given only 2 millisecond time slot. So you can observe in the diagram, P1 is started executing up to, even though it needs 6 milliseconds, it needs 6 milliseconds, but what is the time slot allocated by the processor? It is only 2 milliseconds. So it is beginning at 0 to 2 milliseconds. This process is over. This time slot is over. Once the time slot is over, the execution is going to switch. It is going to switch from P1 to which one is the next process in the queue? It is P2. So when the time slice is expired, P1 is pre-emitted. Pre-emitted nothing but stopped temporarily. P1 is going to stop, then P2 is scheduled for execution. P2 once again it is scheduled for execution time of once again the equal time slice, that is 2 milliseconds. You can observe here. So after P1, P2 is received. It is execution is a switch from P1 to P2 and is run execute only for given time slice. So 2 to 4 milliseconds P2 is going to execute, but still P2 has to execute for remaining 2 milliseconds because P2 is need 4 milliseconds, but the system is giving only 2 milliseconds. So what about remaining part? Those things will be once again kept in the end of the queue. Once again they are kept in the end of the queue. So P1 is already occupied, then P2 now. When the time slice of P2 is expired, it is preempted once again. Preempted nothing but for now, whatever the current running it is P2, now it is going to be stopped. And next time slice is allocated for P3 for the time slice of 2 milliseconds. You can observe here, means each process is given equal weightage. Even though they need more time, but what the system is going to do, it is going to provide only given predefined time slice. After P3, so P3 need only 2 milliseconds. Okay, no problem. It is going to be, there is no execution left with P3. So in future time period, no, there is no appearance of P3 because P3 need only 2 milliseconds. Yes, it has when the turn comes, obviously it is going to execute. So P3 is over. Next, P3 completes its execution within the time slice and the scheduler picks once again. After P3, P1 next, because P1 has to run for remaining 4 milliseconds because 10 here. What about remaining 4 milliseconds? Because it needs total 6. So the next 2 milliseconds is scheduled for P1 to be executed. So after P1, still it needs 2 milliseconds to complete its process. But what is the algorithm? What is the scheduling technique? Only 2 milliseconds each process. If still it is pending, keep it at the end of the queue. Okay, then solve one by one. First come, first serve, like that. So this process is repeated till all the processes are served. So you can observe after P1, there P2, then after P2, once again it is P1. So this is the method of scheduling the processes to be executed in a round robin scheduling technique. So you can observe here P1, P1, P1. So 3 times it is going to execute with a time slice of 2 milliseconds. So 3 into 2, it is nothing but what? Total completion time it is 6 milliseconds. What about P2? P2 is going to be executed for 2 times. First time 2 milliseconds, next time another 2 milliseconds. So total it is 4 milliseconds. What about P3? It is going to be executed only 1 time because the time slice is also 2 milliseconds and it needs only 2 milliseconds to execute its task. So P3 appears only 1 time. Okay. So the pending processes which are preempted, they are kept in the queue once again in the order. Okay. So this one is the technique what we are going to observe in the round robin scheduling. Okay. So to complete the total, it is going to require 12 milliseconds. So 6 milliseconds for P1, 4 for P2, 2 milliseconds for P3. So overall, 3 processes are going to complete their process by 12 milliseconds. In between, if any new process comes, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? They are kept in the queue in the first come, first served fashion. Okay, they are go on receiving, and each process is running only for selected time slot. Okay, so in this example, it is only 2 milliseconds for each process. Next, calculation of all these results. It is waiting time, turnaround time, as well as average of both. How to calculate? Yes, this one is the example what we have discussed. So 3 processes with the respective execute time. Okay. Then we have what is the time slice allocated by this round robin scheduling. So here to calculate the waiting time for P1, waiting time for P2, how much time it has to wait, and waiting time for P3. So here, as we observed, P1 is executed 3 times. P1 executed 3 times. So for first time it is okay, no problem. It is the first process, and it is allocated for only 2 milliseconds. Okay. Then what about the remaining part? Remaining time slot. It has to wait. You can observe in the diagram only. So after 2 milliseconds, it is once again it turn comes, but when it comes, it has to wait till its turn. So the overall waiting time for P1 process, it is first time it is because it is the first process, so immediately it is executed by the system. Then what about second iteration? In the second iteration, it has waited for what? Completion of P2 and P3. What about third position? In the third time here, it is waited for what? Completion of P2. So first time, no waiting time. Second iteration, it has to wait for P2 and P3 to be completed. Then third time, P1 is waiting for completion of P2. So considering all these waiting times, it is given by what? It is 6 milliseconds total. So 2 milliseconds for P2, 2 milliseconds for P3, it is 4 milliseconds. Then P2 has waiting for P2 to be completed. So total it is 6 milliseconds. Next, what is the waiting time for P2? Okay, P2 is waiting for 2 times. First time it is waiting for what? P1 to be executed. P1 to be executed here. Then second iteration. Once again, it is waiting for what? P1 to be executed. So what is the overall? You can observe. First time it is 2 milliseconds. Next time, okay, it is what? Beginning time P2 and previous end time it is 4. 8 minus 4. It is 4 milliseconds. So 4 plus 2 is 6 milliseconds. So total 6 milliseconds it has waited. Then what about P3? So P3 has to wait for, it is going to run only one time. So when its time comes, and its turn comes, it is at completion of P1 and P2. So P1 and P2, they are going to make waiting of this P3. So P3 is waited for 4 milliseconds. 4 milliseconds. So if I go for sum of all waiting time, it is 16 milliseconds. 16 milliseconds. So what is the average waiting for any process in the queue? For any process in the queue, the average waiting time, it is total number of waiting time divided by number of processes. So total number of waiting time, it is 16. Number of processes are 3. So it is 5.33 milliseconds. Okay. If any thing is going to happen. Minimum waiting time, we may call this average. Minimum waiting time, it is 5.33 milliseconds for each process. Okay. Then if we go for completion time, and it is each process is going to complete. You can look at this diagrams. It is nothing but what? Time of completion. Turnaround time, TAT, it is nothing but time when P1 process is completed, it is completed at 12th millisecond. It is, even though it is first in the queue, but according to technique, when it is going to end its process, it is going to end its process at 12 milliseconds, even though it is beginning at 0th millisecond also. Then, what about P2? It is going to end at what? 10 milliseconds. 10th millisecond. What about the P3? It has end at 6 milliseconds. Once the system is started executing all the processes, each process is going to end at these time periods. So it is total turnaround time, it is 28 milliseconds. If we go for on an average, okay, the average end time, turnaround time for any process. Average turnaround time for any process is given by total turnaround time from all the processes. It is 28 divided by 3. Number of processes, it is 9.33 milliseconds. Okay, so this one is the average. When the process is, and it is going to start on an average of 5 milliseconds. Okay, when the term comes for any process, it is nearly 5.33 milliseconds. Once its term comes, and when it is going to end its process, it is on an average, it is going to take the completion time, it is 9.33 milliseconds. Okay, this one is round robin scheduling. If any process, while executing these things, if any new process arrives, once again that is going to be kept in the queue. When its turn comes, it is going to execute it for a given predefined time slice. After that, if still pending work is there, it is going to be kept in the queue at the end. Okay. So nothing but what? A complete loop will be there. They are kept in the round fashion. They are executing in the round circle fashion. Next, go for the next scheduling. It is priority based. Because if I go for the previous round robin, okay, all are running equally. But what about the needy process, emergency process, which is to be executed immediately? Why we need to execute that one? Because it needs resources. It needs resources. So at that time, how we need to solve such issues? So it is nothing but priority based scheduling. While executing n number of processes, we are going to allocate for each process, we are going to allocate a priority. It is highest priority, it is lowest priority. Okay. So the computer is running, the laptop is running, mobile phone is running. Okay. And when it is running, means it is doing some processes, n processes. Meanwhile, I want to make it completely off. Then I need to give concentration or priority for make the system off process. So how it will be dealt? So in this priority based scheduling, priority are going to be assigned to each and individual process from high priority to low priority. So it gives what? Real-time attention. Real-time attention, obviously, we need a real, in the embedded system, we are concentrating on real-time only. Okay. So we are not waiting for the completion of remaining processes. We are going to pre-emit. We are going to make the queue empty to run the current new high priority process. So here priorities are assigned to each and individual process. Based on the priority, they are gone executed. till completion of that process. Till completion. There is no time slot. Okay, you are priority 1. You need to execute only for this much time. No. Until unless you how much time you need, that much is allocated to that particular high priority task. So it is adopted in systems which demands real-time behavior. So obviously, embedded system, they are going to use most of the time priority-based scheduling. So if we go for example, suppose there are 3 processes with processor ID P1, P2, and P3 with estimated completion time 10 milliseconds for P1, 5 milliseconds for P2, and 7 milliseconds for P3. And here another term comes for each process, it is priority. So priority 1 for P1, priority 3 for P2, and priority 2 for P3. Not only completion time plus priority allocated for each and individual process. So here indicates 0 means high priority, above 0 nothing but it is lowest priority. And they are going to enter into the queue. They may enter in any time, randomly. It is not like that they have to enter into the order only. P1 first, P2 next, P3 next. No, it is not like that. They may come anytime, but what about the scheduling? Which one is the highest priority? It will be executed first from the queue. Not first come first out. Not first come first, last out. Priority. Based on priority, the processes are going to be executed. For example, a new process P4 with estimated completion time of 6 milliseconds is arrived in the queue with a priority of 0. 0 priority is allocated for P4. And when it is going to enter, it is going to enter after 5 milliseconds of start of execution of P1. Okay, when P1 is going to start, when P1, P2, P3 are kept in the queue, immediately queue is going to be processed by the system. Each process is going to start executing one by one, P1, P2, P3, based on the priority. Meanwhile, if any new in the queue with the label P4 and priority it is 0 milliseconds, 0, and how much time it needs? It needs 6 milliseconds to execute. But when it is coming after beginning of system process, it is 5 milliseconds. 5 milliseconds. So here this presumption is required because if we go for other than CPU operations, obviously the process needs to be interact with each I/O. So it is a time-consuming process. We are assuming that there is no I/O operations. For this one, how to solve how the scheduling look like. So at the beginning, there are only 3 processes: P1 with the 10 millisecond priority 1, P1 10 millisecond priority 1, P2 5 millisecond priority 3, P3 7 millisecond priority 2. They are kept in the queue. Now, scheduler is going to start picking the processes to execute from higher priority to lower priority. So the higher priority is which one? The P1, because it is allocated priority 1. Okay, above 0 it is nothing but lower priority. Okay, P1 started executing from 0 to 10 milliseconds. Then after completion of P1, P3 is going to be picked up because it has priority number 2. It has priority number 2, and it is going to be executed for its complete process time, that is 7 milliseconds. So after 10 milliseconds, up to 17th millisecond, P3 is going to execute. After P3, the another process which has lowest priority, that is P2. So P2 is going to execute for given execution time period is 5 milliseconds. So after 17, it is 22 milliseconds. Without any entry of any new process. No new process means this is the fashion of how all processes P1, P2, and P3 are executed based on priority. P1 first, P3 next, and P2 later. Next. So there is a condition that yes, the P4 process has entered with the priority of 0 for a period of 6 milliseconds, and it is going to enter when it is going to enter in after starting of execution of P1. What is the time period? It is 5 milliseconds, but P1 needs 10 milliseconds to complete its process. It is begin with 0, then it is go on executing. When it comes a new process P4, it is going to be pre-emitted. It is going to be removed from the execution queue. So how it is? So since the scheduling algorithm is pre-emittive, means it is going to stop the process temporarily. So P1 is preempted by P4. Then P4 runs to completion. So you can observe here, P1 started executing at the beginning, and new process arrived at 5th. So P1 is going to be preempted. It is stopped temporarily, but P1 needs 10 milliseconds to complete its task. So what about remaining? What about remaining time? It is going to be kept in the queue once again, and that queue is going to be executed based on priorities for any new arrival of process. So this one is the fashion. So after 5th millisecond, P4 is going to be start its execution, and it is going to complete its execution after 6th millisecond what it needs. So it is entered at 5th millisecond. The total 6 millisecond is going to come at 5 plus 6, it is 11 milliseconds. So after 11 milliseconds, so after 6 millisecond of P4 terminates itself, now the scheduler again, you can observe here, the scheduler again sorts the reduced highest priority. Once again, obviously it is P1 only. So after completion of P4, P1 once again it is picked up by the scheduler to execute, because P1 has the highest priority compared to P3 and P2. So it is going to complete by remaining time period, it is 5 milliseconds. So first 5 milliseconds, second time slot is 5 milliseconds, total it is 10 milliseconds. Now, after completion of P1, P3 is going to run because it is the next highest priority. So P3 is going to take total 5 milliseconds. Okay, so P3 is going to take 7 milliseconds. So after P3, once again, the next priority is P2. So P2 is going to complete its task, taking 5 milliseconds. So to run 4 processes by a scheduler, it is going to consume how much time? It is 28 milliseconds by pre-emitting, stopping the current running process temporarily and running new highest priority task. So this one is the fashion of this priority based scheduling. So if we go for how much waiting time and turnaround time. So if we look at this complete execution slot, we are going to observe P1 run first, and it is going to preempted by P4. After completion of P4, once again, the P1 is going to execute, later P3, then P2. So the overall time period is 28 milliseconds. Now, go for waiting time. So P1, is there any waiting time? Yes, it has waited for what? 6 milliseconds, because P4 is running for 6 milliseconds. So at the beginning, okay, there is no waiting time. So it is beginning at 0th position. But what about the second iteration? In the second iteration, it is beginning with the 11th millisecond. Is it the 11th millisecond? It has waited. No, it has waited only for the completion of P4. It is waited for only completion of P4. What is the time slot? It is 11 minus 5. Because P4 entered in at the 5th millisecond position and it is going to terminate it after 11th millisecond. 11th millisecond. So therefore, the total waiting time for P1 it is, for first iteration nothing, for second iteration it is 6 milliseconds. What about P4? P4. Is there any waiting time? No, because it is the highest priority. Whenever it comes, it is going to immediately executed. Whenever it comes, immediately it is executed. So there is no waiting time period for highest priority process. So it is 0 milliseconds. There is no wait. Then what about P3? Yes, P3 is waited for how much? It is waited for completion of P1 as well as P4. P1 and P4. So what is the overall waiting time? And its turn comes. P3 turn comes at 16th millisecond. So that number is nothing but what? A waiting time for P3 to be executed. So that is 16th millisecond. What about the P2? P2 has waited for completion of P1, P3 and P4. So overall time period, it is total is 23 milliseconds it has waited. So P2 has waiting time of 23 milliseconds. So totally sum of all waiting time, it is nothing but what? 45 milliseconds. Then what is the average time for waiting? It is 45 divided by how many processors? 4 processors. So therefore it is 45 divided by 4, nothing but 11.25 milliseconds is the average waiting time for each process. Okay. Then when each process is going to complete its process, how much time? Average. When it is going to complete, we can observe here the P1 has end terminated at time duration of 16 milliseconds. When P4 is terminated at 6 milliseconds. When P3 is terminated 23 milliseconds. You can observe here 23 milliseconds. Then what about the P2? P2 has end at 28 milliseconds. So therefore, the average turnaround time it is 73 divided by 4, which is nothing but what? 18.25 milliseconds. 18.25 milliseconds. So that is the average completion time by a process. Clear? So these are the scheduling techniques about by using the preemptive concept. The first one is shortest time, second one is round robin, third one is priority based scheduling. So these are the techniques what we have discussed in scheduling of processes. So this one is today's session. In the next session, we'll discuss the next concept of embedded system designing.